Treasury Secretary Scott says that Trump administration is considering the successor for, Fed Chair Jerome Powell and will begin interviewing candidates this fall. So of course, some people are going to be kind of confused at this. People thinking that he cannot be fired. President can't really take him out of, his seat. I just want to kind of bring a little bit more clarity is the fact that when it comes to this, his term is coming to an end. So that is something that I want to clear up. But welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. Let's take a look at what's happening with the markets as we did start off a brand new weekend. Of course, what we could be expecting as far as XRP's price is concerned. Looking across the board, a lot of green. Let's obviously, kind of minus, ohm. It's still obviously hovering within the top 100, but of course, the broader market, if you're kind of taking a look at it, we are seeing market reacting in a positive way with the price of XRP sitting at $2.13, also up 0.5% in Bitcoin. Comparative market cap 124.5 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $2.9 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So really want to take a look at the fear and greed index. Of course, the next update goes live in about 33 minutes, as we can see on the screen. But again, last week we were obviously in extreme fear. Obviously, the market is coming out of that extreme fear to the fear zone. But in terms of the bigger picture, obviously there is still a lot of uncertainty, believe it or not, within the crypto markets. Yes, we are seeing some recovery. XRP looking really good in a grand scheme of things, considering the big pullbacks that we're coming out of. But still, as far as the bigger picture is concerned, there's still a lot of uncertainty right now within the markets. Some people thinking that we're not going to see market bouncing till quarter three, quarter four. I personally think we are going to see a little bit of a shift because of the fact that we have seen the tariffs being paused, and now you're starting to see Argentina also announce that obviously. And a lot of other countries are announcing that they want to work with the U.S. Kind of negotiate these tariffs. And I think as these things evolve and we hear more and more of this happening, I think this can actually ease the market. And of course, next month, FOMC meeting, are we going to see a rate cut? Because I think that is a pivot moment. I think that is literally days away at this point. The reason why I say that it's days away is because of the fact that we are just a few days 14 more days and the month comes to an end. It's crazy to think about how the year of 2025 is going. And I think arguably for me personally, this has been the fastest year I have ever experienced. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. But let me know what you're doing right now. Of course, the fear and greed index is in the fear zone, but are you accumulating right now? Are you on the sidelines? Are you waiting for more, dip before you enter, or are you just holding? Let me know in the comments down below what your overall strategy is. But moving forward, look at our good old friend Smoke. So yes, XRP exhibits the lowest correlation with other cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. While Bitcoin and Ethereum show signs of value bubble, XRP does not. Driven instead of its technological, superiority, not speculative hype. XRP is undervalued, and Bitcoin and Ethereum overvalued. And I can make a share my personal thoughts with you guys on that. I personally don't think the likes of BTC are overvalued. Maybe Ethereum, I can see that in my opinion, because of course in terms of a use case, in terms of fundamentals, I think there's other projects out there that actually outpace Ether. Of course, it has that first mover advantage, hence you are seeing an ETF still there for itself. It has built up this credibility and kind of the presence within the market. But I think there's much more better projects out there, and XRP is one of them. But XRP, in my opinion, based off of what's happening right now, in my honest opinion, is undervalued considering what I'm looking at, the horizon. And again, at the end of the day, no one here is gonna just say, yes, guys, for sure in the next 5-10 years, we're gonna be sitting at certain price levels. We can kind of take a look at the historic patterns. We can kind of take a look at what's happening for the crypto space, what have never happened in the crypto space history, like the ETFs, institutional inflows coming in, regulation coming in, RWAs, a lot going on. So of course, when you keep all those things into consideration, you can really see how fast things are moving. And if you look at XRP now that, it has the SEC case out of the way, and, it's one of the companies that's innovating and has a real world use case. That's the most beauty of it. The real world use case aspect, I think it just changes, the entire game. And I am very optimistic that, XRP, with the help of the ETF, will go to crazy heights. Of course, some people out here saying, $10,000 XRP, 5,000. Come on, guys, like really, like that's just unheard of. Even if you kind of make it make sense with the valuation, it just doesn't make sense. Come on, like, let's be realistic. But, look at this, 70 million XRP worth, 150 million were transferred from an unknown wallet to an unknown wallet. What's really going on? Is this Ripple, OTC wise? Remember, I've shared this with you guys on my channel before. When it comes to OTC purchases, if it's a big entity that wants exposure into digital assets, so in this case, XRP, OTC is the best way. Because of course, if you are going and, is purchasing $150 million worth of XRP on the exchange, it's going to have an impact on the price. And, obviously OTC kind of gets rid of that. So of course, that could be the case, or maybe it's just a bunch of whales, just moving to a new wallet to another wallet. But obviously, these are always interesting to see. Big moves are definitely happening. And, kind of, going back of what I said earlier, look at this, Ethereum CEO says Ripple building the new Wall Street with the XRP and the hidden road. And he personally thinks that, Ripple is one of the projects, that actually has that real world use case. Of course, Ripple isn't the coin, Ripple is the company, and, the digital asset, which is XRP, is the native token of the XRP ledger. And you can see this for yourself. These big, people around, the financial sector, even outside the financial sector, are looking at, these digital assets, specifically the ones that have the real world use case. So, could not be more excited as to, what's coming. Of course, people always look at, the short-term horizon. Why is the price of XRP not going up to the likes of $5, $10, whatever the case may be? We need to understand what's happening with the broader market, what's happening with the dominance. Dominance is sitting at literally 63.7%, really, really high. Bitcoin is currently sitting at 84,700, having a nice day right now. And, of course, if Bitcoin is able to close its daily candle here, we could potentially make our way up to 85K range once again. But I could not be more impressed the way XRP is currently holding. And that just tells you how much demand there really is, because the fact that the price of XRP, is one of the very few coins, to be quite frank with you, that is, still quite up from the November lows. Again, if you want to put XRP into perspective, it's up 326% from those lows. And, that tells you everything you need to know. It's pretty much been ranging above this key level. Of course, we did drop 2 different times due to the broader market, but, it has been ranging really nicely, consolidating. And of course, your patience is really being tested. Of course, there's a lot of people that are, getting kind of, ticked off at the fact that, price of XRP is not exploding, but you need to understand there will come times where you even see projects consolidating for months, and bear markets, it could be even for years. So again, it's not overnight success. And, success is never guaranteed. Let me tell you that for a fact. This is where your hard work, due diligence, and effort really goes. If success was guaranteed, then of course, everyone would be doing it. But, we can sit here, put in our time, blood, sweat, and tears, and of course, take it one step at a time. But let me know down below what you guys think. Where do you see the price of XRP going at the end of the year? Love you all. See you later. Been Crypto ZX, and peace.